Good morning, students. Up to here, we have talked about Mendel's monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross, reciprocal cross, test cross, and back cross. Now, moving forward, we are going to discuss about the scenario after Mendelism. Mendel was continuously talking about factors because genes and chromosomes were not discovered. But later on, the discoveries were continuing, and now we know about nucleus, chromosomes, genes that are present on the chromosomes. So because of certain discoveries, there was formation of chromosomal theory of inheritance. And this chromosomal theory of inheritance was formulated by two scientists, Sutton and Boveri, in 1902. Chromosomal theory of inheritance was only possible after the discovery of nucleus, chromosomes. The scientists discovered about mitosis, meiosis, means they recognized the inheritance pattern of chromosomes during cell division. So what Sutton and Boveri did, they framed a theory that is showing how chromosomes are inherited from one generation to next generation. We also know, we have seen that cell division can occur by two methods, mitosis and meiosis. In both the type of division, here somatic cells are performing mitosis and the germ cells are going to perform meiosis. Means they are inheriting their genetic material to next of daughter cells. If mitosis is taking place, equational division is there. Suppose this is a human cell, then the daughter cells are also getting 46 chromosomes, means chromosomes are inherited from this parent cell to these daughter cells. So inheritance of chromosomes is there. In same situation, if meiosis is taking place, again it is going to inherit the chromosomes, but the thing is here the number of chromosomes, they are only haploid sets of chromosome that are inherited in the daughter cells. But again, there is inheritance of chromosomes from the parent cell to the daughter cell. That means in their theory of inheritance, chromosomal theory of inheritance, they said that chromosomes are inherited from one generation to next generation during, in somatic cells during mitosis also, and in germ cells during the formation of gametes also. And we have talked about that these chromosomes are having the structural and functional, the main hereditary units, and these hereditary units are genes that are located on specific gene locus on the chromosome. So that means when chromosome is inherited from one cell, parent cell, to the daughter cell, the genes that are lying on the chromosome, all these are genes, these genes will also be inherited from the parental cell to the daughter cell. This was said by Sutton and Boveri in their chromosomal theory of inheritance. Now they also talked about one more thing, that the chromosomes in diploid organisms, the chromosomes are present in pairs, means homologous chromosomes are present, and these homologous chromosomes are containing same genes. Suppose this is the gene that is controlling height of an organism, then on the homologous chromosome at the same locus the gene is present that is also containing the height of the chromosome. Suppose these two. Now the thing is, this gene has two alternative forms as we talked about. One may be responsible for the tall height and second may be responsible for the dwarf height. Or the situation can be that both are responsible for the tall height or both are responsible for the dwarf height. These three possibilities can be there. Now during cell division, or especially if I talk about meiosis, because we are talking about inheritance from one generation to next generation, that is happening in the germ cells. So let's talk about meiosis. In meiosis 1, the separation of homologous chromosomes is going to take place. That means the genes, these are also going to separate from each other. And in meiosis 2, the chromatids are going to separate from each other and each gamete is going to get a haploid set of chromosomes in this way. Let's see with the help of a simple illustration how this chromosomal theory of inheritance is taking place. I am taking example of only one single character. Let's take the example of Mendel's monohybrid cross. So Mendel's monohybrid cross, the Mendel was taking tall plant and dwarf plant. This was the situation. So I am taking the high character, height of the plant. A chromatid is there and this chromatid is carrying during the G1 phase. A cell is undergoing cell division and here the chromatids are present and these are carrying the gene for height of the plant, and this is showing two different alternative forms. One is responsible for tall height of the plant and second is responsible for dwarf height of the plant. Now because DNA synthesis is going to take place, so the number of chromatids are going to double because DNA copying is happening. Over here I am showing two chromatids. So now the situation is this. Just to make you understand easily, this is the situation. During the cell division, the number of chromatids has doubled. So this is the situation over here. Now during meiosis 1, these two are going to, at the metaphase 1, these two homologous chromosomes are going to align themselves on the equatorial plane and they are going to separate. These two homologous chromosomes are going to separate. I am showing the separation. The two cells are formed. One cell is going to receive capital T, and the second cell is going to receive small t. So here at meiosis 1, the homologous pairs have separated from each other. Now meiosis 2 will take place, and during the meiosis 2, these are the two chromatids of a chromosome. These chromatids are going to separate from each other. So here we are, each cell is dividing into two cells. So two cells are coming from here and two cells are coming from here. And this is receiving capital T. This is also receiving capital T. It is receiving small t and small t. These are the four haploid gametes. Which are receiving only one of the allele from the combinations, and that is completely a random chance that which allele is incorporated in which gamete. Now out of these the gametes are going to fuse, and again the two alternative forms are going to combine. Again, if this is the situation, then one is going to, this is one is coming from one parent and this second is coming from second pair. And again what happened, we are carrying two alternative forms of one single gene. This is what was explained by Mendel, and the same thing was explained by Sutton and Boveri. The only difference is Mendel was calling all these factors as factors, and Sutton and Boveri explained them in the form of chromosomes and genes that are lying on the chromosomes. So this whole process was explained by Sutton and Boveri in their chromosomal theory of inheritance. The same thing we can see also in case of dihybrid cross also. Now the next topic is incomplete dominance. That is showing the blending of characters. Earlier I told you that Mendel gave various laws in which one of the law was law of dominance, but that law of dominance was not widely accepted. It was not universally accepted, and this is the reason why law of dominance was not universally accepted. We will see in the cross what is going to happen. Incomplete dominance, it was performed by scientists in 4 o'clock plant. Scientific name is Mirabilis jalapa. What has been observed in this 4 o'clock plant, that it is showing dominant red color flowers and the flower recessive color is white. But when there is a breeding experiment done in pure line red plants and pure line white flowers, the character that is appearing in the first generation is not resembling with either of the parents. Let's see in form of a cross. So the character which we are going to take is color of flower. And in color of flower, we are having a dominant character and a recessive one. The dominant one is red. Red is dominant. We can represent it with capital R, and white is recessive. We can represent it as small r and small r. So this is our parental types which we are going to take in our cross. And this is obviously a monohybrid cross, but it is not a Mendelian cross, because Mendel did not observe incomplete dominance. If Mendel would have observed incomplete dominance, then he would not have stated the law of dominance. So the one parent is with red flowers and the second parent is with white flowers. This is the parental generation. This parental generation is going to form gametes. All the gametes are of same type because they are homozygous. These are the gametes. And these gametes are going to fuse together to form the F1 generation. This is our F1 generation that has come because of cross pollination. So, just like Mendel, here also the scientists took two pure line plants with one dominant character and one recessive character. Now, in Mendel monohybrid cross, we saw that this plant, if law of dominance is there, that means capital R is there, so this plant should be red. But this was not observed in the case of Mirabilis jalapa. Here the plant that was produced, that was the flowers that are coming over in the F1 generation were pink in color. So pink is formed because of the combination of red and white. Means there is blending, there is mixing of characters. Or we can say, we can explain it with the help of the situation that R is not completely dominant over the white color. Means red color is not completely dominant. If both the alleles, both are R, that means complete red color of flower is there. But when one is capital R and one is small r, means in a heterozygous situation, this R is not having the ability to completely suppress the expression of small r. If it would have the capability to completely suppress the small r, then the color of the flower will be red in color. But the situation is not there. So there is incomplete dominance. The dominance of capital R is not complete. If we show complete dominance, that means both homozygous situation should be there. This was the observance. Now if we do a self-cross, self-pollination between the F1 generation, the gamete produced are these ones and the possible progenies are These are the possible outcomes. Now, if we show the phenotype, both capital R are there, means homozygous dominant situation is there. That means this flower is, the plant has flowers red in color. Here both are recessive. If both are recessive, then simply white color. But in heterozygous situation, one dominant, one capital R is present and one small r is present, and we have already discussed that only one single r is not completely dominant over small r, means it is not completely suppressing the expression of small r. So these two flowers are pink in color. This is the result of our F2 generation. And if by observing this result, if we want to frame the phenotypic and genotypic ratio will be three different type of phenotypes are observed here. That is red, pink and white. And the ratio is 1:2:1. And if we notice the monohybrid cross of Mendel, the phenotypic ratio was 3:1. Means only two phenotypes were observed in the F2 generation. So because of incomplete dominance, the phenotypic ratio has changed. If we notice the genotypic ratio remains the same, because here three genotypes. One is homozygous dominant, heterozygous dominant and homozygous recessive. Same three type of genotypes are present. So phenotypic ratio is going to change from the Mendel's monohybrid cross, but genotypic ratio remains the same. So this is incomplete dominance. Now we said that blending of characters are taking place. Complete blending of characters are not taking place, because again we are in F2 generation we are getting all the different type of plants. That means they have also segregated independently at the time of gamete formation and inherited independently. The only situation is when heterozygous situation is present, only then the R is not going to completely suppress the expression of a recessive allele. This is happening in case of incomplete dominance. The another condition is codominance. Codominance is again a different condition than Mendel's law of dominance, complete dominance and incomplete dominance. What is happening in codominance? It simply means that two dominant alleles are present and the expression, these two dominant alleles are expressing simultaneously. Means no one is going to suppress the expression of each other. Both are expressing equal and a new expression has been obtained because of their equal expression. So codominance simply means both the dominant alleles, when they are coming together, they are going to express themselves. There will be no suppression, means no dominance recessive relation is present between them. We can understand it more better with the help of example. The simple example that is of codominance is our ABO blood group system. ABO blood group system, the blood groups A, it is composed of 4 blood groups A, B, O and AB. These 4 type of blood groups are present in our ABO blood group system. These 3 blood groups, they were discovered by Karl Landsteiner, and this AB blood group was discovered by D. Casello and Steney. So most of the population is having this ABO blood group system, and this ABO blood group system is controlled by a gene I. This gene is having alleles, obviously allelic forms are there, but here not two but more than 2 alleles are present, and the allelic forms are IA, sometimes it is also written IO. So IA, IB I and IO. When we see these allelic forms, out of these three allelic forms, these two are dominant one. From dominance, I simply means they are going to express, obviously they are going to express in the homozygous situation, but they are also going to express themselves when they are present with the recessive allele, means in the heterozygous situation. This is the recessive one. Now what these alleles are going to do? These alleles are responsible for making a glycoprotein, we can say a antigen on the surface of RBC. Suppose I am talking about allele A. When allele IA is present, that is responsible for the formation of A antigen on the surface of RBC. And when A antigen is present on the surface of RBC, blood group of the individual is A. Similarly, if IB is dominant, IB is present in the individual, the blood group will be, the antigen will be B and the blood group will be B. So, this is how these alleles are helping in maintaining the blood group, and this blood group system always remains same in the life of an individual. It is not going to change. Let's see the possible genotypes of these blood groups. We are having 3 alleles. From 3 alleles, we are getting 6 possible genotypes. If I am talking about blood group A, this blood group A is having 2 possible genotypes. This is one situation, homozygous dominant situation, or the second situation is this one. Because I is recessive, it is not going to express itself. So in both the situations, both the genotypes, the individual is going to have the blood group A. These are the genotypes and this is the blood group, or you can say the phenotype. So 2 genotypes are responsible for one single phenotype. The second blood group is blood group B. This blood group B is also having 2 genotypes, one homozygous situation and another one is a heterozygous situation, because B is also dominant over small I. Now, here is the situation AB. AB simply means both the dominant alleles are present together. The individual is having IA also and IB also. Here comes the definition of codominance. Codominance means 2 dominant alleles are present. No one is dominant, or you can say not showing dominance or recessive relationship. Both are going to express simultaneously and the expression of both the alleles is equal. They are going to express equally. That's why we are getting another phenotype, that is AB. If dominance recessive relationship was there, then what would happen? Either the blood group, if A was dominant over B, then the blood group will be A, and if B is dominant over A, then the blood group is B. This would have happened if they were showing the dominance recessive relationship. But this is not the case. We are getting a completely different phenotype because of the expression of both of these two, plus the expression is always equal. So this is codominant. The AB blood group is codominant. The another one is O, that is the recessive one. So only homozygous recessive situation is there in which O blood group will be there. If I talk about the antigens, simple. IA is responsible for the antigen A on the surface of RBC. IB is responsible for the formation of B antigen on the surface of RBC, and AB is going to form both the antigens on the surface of RBCs. Means the individuals are having both antigen A and antigen B on their RBCs. And IO, because it is completely recessive, so no antigens will be present on the surface of RBCs. So this is how ABO blood group system is explaining a situation that is codominant. We can take some more examples also. Other than this ABO blood group system, you must have heard about sickle cell anemia. we are having normal RBCs, but the individuals who are suffering from sickle cell anemia, their RBCs become sickle shaped. So this condition is, this is a homozygous situation. If the individual is having this type of genotype, that means the individual is suffering from sickle cell anemia. But if heterozygous situation is there, means one is normal and one allele is normal and one is sickle cell anemic, then a heterozygous situation is there and both are expressing themselves. So the individual is not suffering from anemia because one normal allele is also there and that is also going to express itself. The individual is a carrier. Carrier means it is having one defected gene and this individual is having the ability to transfer it into the next generation. That's why we are saying it as a carrier, but it is not a sickle cell anemic situation because here one normal allele is still present. So both are expressing themselves. Another example can be Mn blood group. It is also found in some of the percentage of population. Here again alleles are present. If IM and IMA is present, the blood group will be M. If homozygous situation for N is present, the blood group is N. But if both the dominant alleles are present, IM and also, so note the blood group will not be M or N, it will be Mn because both are going to express themselves simultaneously. These are few examples of codominance. The another thing is multiple alleles. What Mendel said, that Mendel simply told that the factors that are responsible for controlling a character, they are present in pairs. Simply means we are having two homologous chromosomes. So only this situation is possible. Two alleles are possible for one gene. This is right, but it is right for an individual. An individual is carrying two homologous chromosomes, so only two alternative forms of a gene are possible. One alternative form will be present on one chromosome and the second is going to present on its homologous pair. But because of mutations in different alleles, the population is having more than two alleles for a single gene. That is multiple allelism. So multiple allelism occurs in population. That is because of mutation in these alleles, and more than two alleles are going to occur in the population. But out of the combination of alleles present in the population, only two are going to present in an individual at a time. This can also be explained by our blood group system. I told you that our blood group system is having three alleles. That means more than two alleles are present in a population. So multiple allelism is there. But if I talk about a single individual, one individual is going to have only two out of these three. Means there will be combination of any of the two. The situation can be I is having with IB or IA or homozygous situation can be there. Same for B also, or they are moving with small I. These are the possibilities in a population, but in an individual, out of these three, only two can be possible. And in population, more than two alleles can be present for a single gene. And this is leading to variations. These more type of alleles are responsible for variations in a population. So our ABO blood group system is also showing multiple allelism. Now we are going to discuss some of the, you can say, crosses that are different from Mendel's crosses. And in NCERT you might not find these crosses, but these are helpful for you to understand the principles of inheritance and variations. Up to here, when Mendel was working, he thought that one factor is responsible for controlling one character only. That means one gene, one enzyme hypothesis was given, that one gene is controlling only the formation of one enzyme. But this was not the case. Now we know that one gene can control more than one character, or more than one gene can control a single character. So we are going to talk about the crosses in which more than one gene is required, and these genes are also working independently, and only single character is controlled by these genes. The first one is complementary genes. Remember, here we are talking at one single time, we are talking about two genes. These two genes are working independently, they are inheriting independently, but they are controlling one character. And what is the situation in complementary genes? In the complementary genes, when both the alleles are dominant, then expression is coming, and when only one single is dominant and another one is recessive, the expression is not going to come. Means there is requirement of two genes plus there is requirement of two dominant genes for expression. Expression will only come when both the genes are present in dominant form. If one gene is going to present in dominant form and another one is present in recessive form, the expression will not be there. Let's see with the help of an example. We are taking off example of sweet pea, that is Lathyrus odoratus. The Lathyrus odoratus, the flower colors, we are taking the character is color of flower. Now this color of flower in Lathyrus odoratus is controlled by two genes. These genes are working in a sequence. Suppose one gene is there, I am considering at C, and the second one is there, I am considering at E. If both the genes C and E are present in dominant situation, then we are going to get colored flowers, and if either of them is recessive, then we are getting white flowers, means color is not going to produce. What these genes are doing? This C is responsible for formation of raw material. For flower, colored flowers, we are required to form a pigment, a colored pigment. So this C is responsible for the formation of raw material, and this E is forming a enzyme that is converting this raw material into a pigment, and this pigment is a colored pigment which is responsible for the color of a flower. If C is going to be recessive, that means raw material is not going to form, and if raw material is not going to form, then obviously the colored pigment is not going to form. So the colors of plant will be white. And if C is there but E is recessive, that means that raw material is forming, but this raw material is not converted into a colored pigment. Then also we are getting white flowers. So if either of them is recessive, we are going to get white flowers, and if both of them are dominant, we are going to get colored flowers. This is simply means complementary genes. So let's make a cross quickly. Initially we are taking white flowers, and both the situation, one is going to be recessive. Obviously white flowers will be produced when one of them is recessive. This is the parental type, or you can say parental generation. And from this parental generation, gametes are going to form. They are going to fuse together, and this is the situation. So these are the gametes, and this is F1 generation. Now if we notice the F1 generation, here one dominant C is present and one dominant E is present in the hybrid situation. That means the flowers will be colored because we are getting at least one dominant allele. So they are expressing themselves, and because of the presence of them, colored flower will be produced. If we cross them, cross the F1 generation, then the gametes that are going to formed will be, these are the possible gametes from both the sides. So let's make a Punnett square with these gametes. What is the possibility in F2 generation? What we are going to get in F2 generation? All these are showing divergence from Mendel's crosses. I draw the gametes. These are the gametes. Same I am writing over here also with the small. Wait a minute. So let's combine them. This is the type of combination we are going to get after their combination. Capital C is there, small. These are the genotypes, possible genotypes of the F2 generation. Now, when two dominant are going to present, mean capital C and capital E, the phenotype will be purple, and if either of them will be recessive, the phenotype will be white. So, purple, it is also purple. One is recessive, so white will be there. Again, one is recessive, it is giving white. White, again white. So two type of plants are, or you can say flowers are observed in F1 generation, purple and white. If we find out the ratio between purple and white, the phenotypic ratio, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are getting 9 purple flowers, and if we count out the white one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we are getting 7 white flowers. This is the phenotypic ratio for complementary genes. That is completely different from Mendel's cross. Mendel's, because here Mendel was only showing only one gene for one character. Here two genes are present for one character, and these two genes are complementary genes. Means there is requirement of expression of both the genes for one trait. This is how we can explain complementary genes. Another one is supplementary genes. And what happens in supplementary genes? The dominant genes are going to express themselves normally. There will be expression of dominant genes. Whenever they are going to present, they are going to express themselves. But when two dominant genes are going to present, there will be a new expression that is coming in supplementary genes. So again, two independently inherited genes are there, and each individual gene is expressing its own character. But when this dominant gene is going to present with another dominant gene, the expression will be changed. Again, see, with the help of an example, we are going to take a fowl. Examples of fowl. Domestic fowls. These domestic fowls are having comb on their head, and the combs are of different type. 4 type of combs are there: P type, single type, walnut type, and rose type. These are the possibilities of the comb that are, or variations in the comb that are present on the head of the fowl. Now, different genes are responsible for their expression. See, if I am saying capital P is there, capital P is present and one is recessive, another gene is recessive, then this P is going to give its expression and the comb will be P type. When P is present in recessive form but this R is present in dominant form, these are two different genes. If one is dominant, it is going to give its own type, that is rose type. If we are going to, you can say, fertilize, cross fertilize between them, then there will be a different expression, completely different expression. So let's see, with the help of a cross, our starting material will be rose type comb and P comb. These are the parental generations. The result will be gamete formation of these types, and the F1 generation is again a hybrid. And now see, here both dominant are present. Out of all this, one dominant P is present and one dominant R is present. So neither P is going to express, and if P is dominant over R, then the expression will be P comb, or R is dominant over P, then the expression will be rose comb. But here we are altogether getting a complete new expression, that is walnut type. So these two are supplementary genes which are combining together and they are giving a completely different expression. And if we see the dihybrid cross, means a cross between these two F1 hybrids, then the possible gametes will be, from both the sides we are going to get these gametes. So let's make a Punnett square to see the F2 progeny. It will be capital P, capital R, capital P, small r. Small p, capital R and small p, small r. These are the 4 gametes. Here also capital P, small r, small p, capital R and small p, small r. The possible genotypes will be I am writing the combinations, all the possible combinations, simply by mixing of the gametes. And how our phenotypes will be affected? How we are going to determine the phenotype? If we are having both the dominant, that will be the walnut type. If only P dominant is present, that is the P type comb, and if only R dominant is present, that is the rose type. And if no one is dominant, means completely homozygous recessive is present, then the fourth type of comb is present, that is single. So here both are present, so it will be a walnut type, again a walnut, walnut, here see, capital P is present but R is recessive, so it will be P type, walnut, capital P is present, so it will be P type, it will again be a walnut, walnut. Here capital R is present and P is recessive, so rose is there. This is also rose type. Here also we are getting walnut type, P type, rose type, and here both are recessive, so single type of comb is present. If we see the phenotypic ratio, we are getting 4 different type of phenotypes: walnut, P, rose, and single. Let's count their number. Walnut is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 9. If we see the P type, 1, 2, and 3. The rose type is 1, 2, and 3, and the single is 1 only. So 9:3:3:1 will be the phenotypic ratio for the supplementary genes. This is almost similar with the Mendel's dihybrid cross. So these were some of the divergence from the Mendel crosses, because here more than 2 genes are going to control one single character. Next time we will discuss about a very important phenomena, that is linkage.